One of my favorite songs that we sing is, I woke up this morning with my mind standing on Jesus. Walking and talking with my mind standing on Jesus. Yada, 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 with my mind standing on Jesus. And it's this beautiful testimony. It's a joyful song. You know, it's hard to sing joyfully sometimes because it's early in the morning, but it's a really joyful song. A person transformed because their whole being is focused on God. And it reminds me also of Isaiah's words, "Blessed is the person whose heart is stayed on thee." Blessed is a person who at all times their heart is stayed on thee. The Christian contemplatives really modeled this, really showed how to do this, really tried to do this well. But so have other people, of other traditions. I read a book recently, autobiography of a man whose life was a mess. It was the 60s, and the world was at war, as it is. He had a bad family life, a bad upbringing. He had a bad set of relationships. He was a bitter man. And all this he ingested. And then what came out of him was bitterness, anger, hatred, rage. At his wit's end, he took the advice of a friend and traveled to India, to the Himalayas, to see a teacher. And this teacher, and this is not the plot of Eat, Pray, and Love, by the way. I haven't seen it, haven't read it. And this teacher was phenomenal because he was a person of very few words. Again, he had this experience as he sat at his feet. And he sensed this was the man who felt God's presence to the point where he saw through eyes, lenses, God's eyes, God's lenses, and loved people. Being Westerners, you know, once they started experiencing this feeling of love, and this guy said, "Oh my God, you know, for the first time I'm experiencing what love feels like." And being Westerners, they're like, "Well, how can we pay you? How can we pay you? Take money." And he had no money. What am I going to do with money? You know, we'll take food. Well, he'd redistribute food to the villagers. And he left behind no great treatise, no foundation, no school of thought. This was just a teacher who came and went. But they were so taken by them. And he said, "Well, we want to thank God for giving us the experience of love. What can we do?" And he said, "If you want to love God, then serve God's people." Jesus, talking to Peter on the beach, said, "Peter, do you love me?" "Well, of course I do." "I mean, yeah, I denied you 3 times, but I love you." "Then feed my sheep." Love. Serve. Remember, Aldous Huxley has a quote, and forgive me for reading this quote, because this is one of them where I daren't paraphrase. I think he says it so well, and so my face is going to be down here for just a minute. And this isn't from the Bible, it's from a post-it note in my Bible. He says, man's obsessive consciousness of and insistence on being a separate self is the final and most formidable obstacle to the unitive knowledge of God. To be a self is the original sin. And to die to self in feeling, will, and intellect is a final and all-inclusive virtue. Now, if you prefer your theology from the Bible, then turn to 1 Corinthians, where it says, anyone united with the Lord becomes one spirit. So this is the prescription. Not rhetoric about turning to God. What does that mean? Turn to God. Rather, a challenge. Bhaja Govinda, seek God. Become so deeply connected to God. So united with God through the practice of loving. Even if you have to start with the baby step of first stop being unkind. Be united with God to the point that you're not an insular person who lives ignorant of other people, ignorant of society and its needs. Rather, you wake up each new morning to open your eyes to see in every face the face of God and to respond with love. Amen.